Under the Stars of the Middle Ages, a journey into medieval astrology. Imagine this. You awake to the sound of a cock crowing in the distance, the musty scent of old wood and herbs clinging to the air. The year is 1347. You are a traveler, no, a seeker, on a quest not for gold or glory, but for knowledge. Specifically, the hidden knowledge of the stars. The room is dim. A shutter creaks gently in the morning breeze, casting a dancing line of light across the rough wooden floor. Somewhere below, a woman sings a lament in a dialect you do not know. The world around you is unfamiliar, yet you are not afraid. You've come too far for fear. You rise. Your robes, borrowed from a monastic scriptorium in Siena, itch your skin, still stiff from drying by a smoky fire. In your pouch, a small brass astrolabe, a crumbling scroll from Cordoba, and a letter sealed with green wax bearing the emblem of a crescent moon. You read the letter again. It was unsigned, but the message was clear. Come to Bologna. The stars are speaking again. And so here you are, in a Europe still cloaked in mystery and miracle, in fear and fervor. The medieval world is not one of static ignorance. It pulses with debates, beliefs, forbidden books, and men and women who look up every night in search of answers. They speak of conjunctions and eclipses, of omens and angels, of Mars in retrograde and Saturn in Aquarius. This is their story, and yours. But don't think of this as a history lesson. No, dear listener, this is something far more intimate. You are not here to observe. You are here to live it. Welcome to a tale woven from the dust of monastery libraries and the silence of watchtowers. Welcome to the Middle Ages, not the one you were taught in school, but the one kept alive in whispers. This world is full of astrologers and alchemists, of monks who chart the planets in the margins of holy books, of midwives who cast horoscopes before delivering a child, and of noblemen who schedule their battles by the moon. And yet it is also a world of suspicion, of burnings, of inquisitors with no patience for the stars. Can knowledge survive in such a world? That, my fellow seeker, is what you are here to discover. But beware, once you enter this labyrinth of constellations and conspiracies, you may find yourself changed. Your role. You are not an observer. You are the main character. You will be given choices. Sometimes they are subtle, whether to speak or stay silent, whether to trust or to flee. Each decision opens a new chapter and closes another. You will meet Matteo di Verona, the fervent student who believes the stars can rewrite fate. Isabetta, the apothecary who reads planetary alignments like a poet reads verses. Al-Rashid, the wandering master hunted by inquisitors and revered by kings. Sol, the astronomer cloaked in saffron who trusts only the stars. And Elias the silent, whose charts whisper the future in codes no one else dares decipher. Together you will navigate plague and politics, prophecy and persecution. You will see how astrology lived and breathed in the medieval world, not as superstition, but as science, as resistance, and as vision. Structure of this journey, this is not a lecture. This is a living chronicle. Each chapter will unfold as a story, one that immerses you in smells, sounds, and sensations. You will hear the hiss of wax as it seals forbidden letters. You will feel the rough hide of a goatskin astrological chart under your fingers. You will smell the burning herbs at the edge of a battlefield timed by Jupiter's descent. And every chapter will end with a new door opening, a mystery not yet solved, a name whispered in passing, a new constellation to follow. So stay close, stay curious. The stars reward the attentive. A note on truth. Yes, this is fiction, but it is built on truth. Every astronomical chart, every historical event, every real astrologer mentioned, you will find them in the manuscripts and records of the medieval world. Where there is mystery, there was once knowledge. Where there is a tale, there was once a life. This story does not aim to simplify the Middle Ages. It aims to restore its texture. Because the world of 1347 was not one of darkness. It was one of twilight, caught between faith and reason, science and myth, heaven and earth. And nowhere is that twilight more vivid than in the work of the astrologers. So breathe deep. The air smells of ink and fire. Your astrolabe is packed. The stars are waiting, and the journey begins now. Chapter 1. The Stars Call You. You arrive in Bologna just before the bells of church. The sky is a cloudless dome of late spring, deep blue, fading into sunlit terracotta roofs. Dust clings to your boots, and the sweat of the road dries slowly under your linen collar. The city greets you not with fanfare, but with murmurs. Carters shout in dialect. Pigeons scatter over worn cobbles. Somewhere nearby, a student recites Virgil badly. The university is alive. So is the tavern. So are the secrets. You follow the directions from the letter, past the old Roman gate, through the marketplace with its cabbages and salted fish, until you find it, Il Capricorno. A tavern with an iron sign shaped like a goat twisting through stars. Inside, the air is thick with wine and pipe smoke. And then, him. Matteo di Verona. He sits alone at a corner table, a leather pouch of star charts open before him, one hand sketching an ephemeris with obsessive speed, the other lifting a goblet to lips that barely remember to drink. He sees you. His eyes flash, a mix of relief, curiosity, and fear. By Jupiter, he whispers, you came. The conversation that changes everything. You speak for hours. The tavern fades around you. Matteo tells you of signs in the sky. A conjunction last winter between Saturn and Mercury. A cluster of stars in Cassiopeia that has shifted. Anomaly, omen, both? He pulls out a chart. Look, he says, tapping the parchment. On the night of the winter solstice, Saturn entered Aquarius. It's the sign of rebellion, of sudden change. But then, this. He traces a red line from Mars to the moon. A red moon rising over Bologna. Blood on stone. We thought it was a bad harvest, but then... He hesitates. Astrologers have vanished, 3 in as many months. Master al-Rashid among them. The name stills your breath. The one who wrote the scroll in your satchel, the one whispered about in Cordovan libraries. You knew him? Matteo nods. He was my teacher until the Inquisition came. The arrival of the messenger. Just as he speaks, the door bursts open. A boy, no older than 12, barefoot and panting, rushes in with a sealed letter. The wax is broken, the parchment wet from sweat. Matteo reads it once, again, then lowers it. They've taken him to Avignon. He's to be tried by the papal court, for heresy, for consulting the stars. He looks at you, eyes fierce now. You've studied the stars. I can tell. Will you come with me? In that moment, you feel the weight of history pressing into your shoulders. The path of your life branches, not metaphorically, but literally. You reach into your pouch, pull out the scroll of al-Rashid. Matteo's breath catches. Then it's true, he says. The stars have chosen you. The road to Florence. Before dawn, you ride south with Matteo. 2 horses. 1 destination, Florence. A city of wealth, art, and knowledge. It's said that Isabetta, al-Rashid's last student, keeps a shop there, beneath the old bell tower. Along the road, Matteo teaches you. As the wind howls through cypress groves and the hills glow silver in moonlight, he shows you how to use your astrolabe. How to calculate the rising sign. How to feel the rhythm of planetary hours. The world, he says, is not chaos. It's a symphony. Astrology is how we learn the melody. But in the dark, a different sound follows you. Hoofbeats, whispers, someone watches. The omens gather. On the 4th night, as you camp near the ruins of a Roman aqueduct, you dream. A star falls across the sky, trailing blood. A figure cloaked in gold stands above you, arms outstretched. They speak no words. But when you awaken, your hands smell of myrrh. You tell Matteo. He says nothing. Just hands you a new chart. It was the hour of Mars, he mutters. Be careful. The City of Lions. Florence unfolds like a painted tapestry. Stone bridges over the Arno, markets spilling silk and spices, towers leaning in like listeners of secrets. You enter through Porta Romana, cloaked against notice. Matteo tense beside you. He leads you to a narrow alley beneath a fading fresco of St. Mark. The shop is unmarked. Inside, smells of camphor, clove, parchment. Astrological globes hang from beams, shelves grown with tomes in Greek, Latin, Arabic, and there, Isabetta. Tall, sharp-eyed, robed in deep emerald. She watches you both like a hawk. I thought you were dead, she says to Matteo. Not yet, he replies, but we need your help. The circle of trust. Isabetta's shop feels like a sanctum. As she locks the heavy door behind you, the noises of Florence vanish as if behind a veil. She gestures toward a long wooden table where a candle drips wax onto a brass plate etched with the 12 houses. Speak, she commands. Matteo opens the scroll, the one from al-Rashid. Her eyes darken. She traces the sigils on the edge. This was written during the Venus-Mercury conjunction of 1330-39. I watched him write of it. It was sealed during a solar eclipse. She turns to you. You're not just a courier. You're entangled. The stars are coiling around you. You explain what little you know. The dream, the scent of myrrh, the blood star. She closes her eyes. You're a threshold figure. An axis mundi. That's rare. You don't know what to say. She smiles faintly. Don't worry, neither did Al-Rashid, at first. The Duke's question. She leads you to a locked cabinet. Inside, a single chart drawn in gold ink on indigo parchment. A noble crest gleams in the upper corner. The Duke of Florence wants a reading for his son. He was born during the conjunction of Mars and Saturn, under Scorpio. Matteo grimaces. An iron fate, he mutters. You study the chart. Rising sign, Scorpio. Moon in Aries, Mars in the 12th house. Hidden violence, you say. Possibly madness, Isabella adds. And yet something else. An exaltation. Jupiter in Cancer, a protector, or an expansion of emotion. The chart sings like a siren, dangerous but mesmerizing. You spend the next 3 nights with Isabella and Matteo, charting, calculating, debating. At one point you burn rosemary and cast dice over an ancient table of lots. The result, conflict, followed by ascension. He'll rise, Isabella whispers, but only over corpses. The visitation. On the 4th night, the bell above the shop rings. No one sees the door move. But there, inside the circle drawn on the floor, stands a hooded man. You reach for your dagger. Isabella lifts a hand. Peace, she says. He's expected. The man lowers his hood. He's pale, marked by a scar that traces the line of his jaw like a comet's tail. He hands Isabella a pouch. Inside, 5 golden ducats, and a note. She reads it, then burns it. We leave for Avignon, she says, looking at you. Tonight. Why? They've changed the trial date. They'll execute Al-Rashid before midsummer. We have one chance. You look to Matteo. I hope you still remember how to ride, he says. Through storms and shadows. The road to Avignon is not marked on any map. You cross mountains, forests where wolves stalk your camp, villages where the word astrologer is whispered like witch. At one point you ride past gallows with a single parchment nailed to the post, a warning from the Inquisition. Beware the Stargazers, their light leads to ruin. But Isabella presses on, calculating routes by lunar position. You pass through Digny during a solar flare. Matteo swears the air itself changes flavor during eclipses. And all the while, you study. The Tetrabiblos of Ptolemy, the commentaries of Mashallah, you decode horoscopes by firelight, learning the hidden meanings of retrograde motion, the malefic dignity of planets in fall. The stars above seem to spin faster, as if something awaits. Avignon. The city of the popes rises like a pale tooth from the Rhone, the smell of incense and rot, the chants, the whispers. You enter under false names dressed as clerics. Matteo bribes a porter. Isabella finds an inn near the Palais des Papes. Al-Rashid is held in a tower above the rose garden. You see him only once, at dusk, from the garden wall, his silhouette in the window, thin, still. The trial begins at the hour of Saturn. A Dominican reads from a list of accusations, consultation of forbidden texts, prophecy under eclipse, distribution of natal charts to the nobility. You stand in the audience. You can feel Al-Rashid's eyes on you. He speaks once. I read what God wrote in the stars. If that is heresy, then I am a mirror. A silence follows. Then, the Pope's confessor steps forward, hands a chart to the tribunal. It is the Pope's own horoscope, calculated by Al-Rashid decades before. It predicted the death of his predecessor and the rise of the current Pope. The room holds its breath. Finally, the sentence, exile, not death, on condition of silence. You find him that night in the shadow of the cathedral. He turns, you came. He reaches out and hands you a new scroll. Toledo, he says, you'll find the rest there. Toward Toledo. The scroll is heavier than it should be, not in weight but in meaning. Its seal, deep green wax pressed with the mark of the phoenix, is known to only a few, and none who bore it died an ordinary death. Isabella stares at the seal for a long moment. Then she nods. Toledo, she whispers. Yes, of course. She takes you aside. I cannot follow. Not now, bless. I must stay in Avignon and erase all traces, but Matteo will go with you. Matteo bows his head. Not in obedience, but in shared burden. Al-Rashid, frail but fierce-eyed, clasps your arm. In Toledo, he murmurs, you will find Sol. She does not suffer fools or liars, but she will help you. His fingers tighten. She is the one who found the codex. You don't ask which codex. You already know. The Codex Stellarium, night by the river. That night, you and Matteo sleep near the Rhone. The stars are clear. You pull out the scroll again, but dare not open it yet. Instead, you lie back and stare. You count them. 27 visible stars before fatigue overtakes your senses. In the inky dark, you dream of an orb that turns layer by layer, revealing astrological glyphs you've never seen. A voice. Knowledge isn't power. It is temptation. When you wake, the stars are gone. Only dawn remains. And the road, castles, corpses, and comets. The road to Toledo is long. You pass through lines smoke rising from a burned-out chapel where someone left the words "Non est scientia in stellis" painted in blood. Then through the Pyrenees where you trade your horse for a pair of mules better suited to the climb. Matteo is silent for most of the journey, absorbed in his calculations. "We are approaching the trine of Saturn to the Sun," he says one evening. "We must be careful." You ask why. "Because when Saturn harmonizes with the Sun," he replies, "the world listens, and not always kindly." On the 9th day, a comet appears. A tale of green fire. Peasants cross themselves, monks chant in fields. But Matteo smiles, she's clearing the way. Who? Saul. Toledo. You arrive in the city of scholars as the feast of St. Leocadia begins. Bells ring, incense wafts from narrow streets. The city is a blend of Arabic arches, Gothic towers, and Roman stones. Here, everything meets. In the market square, a man juggles astrolabes. In a bookstore, a monk sells translations of Aristotle. And in the old quarter, past a gate carved with signs of the zodiac, you find her, Saul. She is cloaked in saffron, as Al-Rashid said, hair braided in silver threads. Her skin is dark, her gaze is darker. "I knew you were coming," she says. You offer the scroll. She does not touch it. "Open it," she says. "Read it aloud." Your voice shakes, but you obey. It's not a message, it's a map to something hidden beneath Toledo. A vault. A book. The Codex Stellarium. She nods once. It begins again. The vault beneath Toledo. Saul leads you through twisting alleys at twilight, past shuttered doors and cats watching like guardians of forgotten truths. You pass beneath a Moorish arch and into a stone courtyard marked by 7 pointed stars. An old wooden hatch creaks open under her touch. "The vault is older than memory," she says, "older than Christ, older than empire. It was built by those who first mapped Venus's path by heart and not by numbers." You descend. The stairwell narrows. A torch flares to life behind you. Matteo lit it without a word. At the base, a circular chamber. On the floor, a bronze zodiac ring. In the center, a pedestal covered in blue silk. Saul removes it. There it is. The Codex Stellarium. Bound in serpent skin, sealed with obsidian, humming feebly impossibly with the heat of memory. Your hand hovers. Saul stops you. "Read the sky first." She throws open a hatch in the ceiling. Through it, a sliver of the night sky peers down, exactly aligned. Now, you open the Codex, the prophecy. It is not a book, it is a map of maps. Celestial events drawn not in ink, but in fine metallic powder. Glyphs shift as you turn the pages. And then your breath halts. A chart, one you've seen before, your birth chart, perfectly rendered. A verse in Latin, "When Mars devours the light of the moon and Mercury turns to ice, the bearer of the phoenix seal shall cast the first shadow." Or the last. Matteo reads it aloud, his voice is faint. Saul turns to you. There's no mistake. The Codex names you. You feel dizzy. The chamber spins. Or is it the stars? The final alignment. Saul begins casting. She lays out stones on the bronze zodiac ring, lapis lazuli for Jupiter, garnet for Mars, pearl for the moon. As she does, the Codex pulses. The stars above align into the exact configuration from your dream. Then, the voice again. Only this time it speaks aloud. A whisper that resonates in the bones. You will choose the age to come, and then silence. The end of chapter 1. Saul extinguishes the torch. What happens now? Matteo asks. Saul looks to you. We wait for the eclipse, and then we follow its shadow. You look back once at the Codex. It no longer glows, but something in you has changed. You understand now, this is not just a journey through the Middle Ages. It is a journey through fate itself. Chapter 2. The Master of Stars Toledo fades behind you like a constellation slipping below the horizon. You travel westward with Matteo, crossing plains veiled in golden light. The scrolls are packed, the Codex wrapped in black cloth, and Saul's words still ring in your ears. Follow the shadow. Matteo rides in silence. The deeper you ride into Castile, the more tense he becomes. He keeps glancing at the sky as if fearing it might change shape. At a crossroad, an old monk shares bread with you and speaks of a coming eclipse. His voice trembles when he says, "It is not the eclipse that matters, but what it hides." A letter from the dead. At a ruined inn just outside Salamanca, Matteo pulls an envelope from his cloak. "It came to me in Florence," he says, "but I did not open it. I was afraid." You nod. He opens it. It is from Al-Rashid. Written in strange Latin, The letter speaks of a final lesson. It refers to a tower, one hidden in the Pyrenees, where the celestial mechanism awaits. A device capable of showing the future in planetary cycles. And one line at the bottom, barely legible. Sol is the key, but I am the door. Matteo stares into the fire. He's alive, he says, somewhere. You look to the codex. It hums again, only once, like a heartbeat. The ascent. 3 days later, you climb into the Pyrenees. The mountain path is treacherous. Wolves follow at a distance. One night, you find hoofprints that vanish in the snow. You reach a high plateau. There, an abandoned observatory, octagonal, windowless, carved with Persian sigils and Hebrew blessings. Inside, dust, mirrors and silence, until you hear the voice. Familiar, Al-Rashid. He steps from the shadows, older, leaner, but burning with purpose. You read the codex. You nod. He smiles sadly. Then we must talk, before the eclipse comes, before the stars go dark. The celestial mechanism. Al-Rashid leads you down a spiral staircase, each step worn from centuries of silence. At the base, a dome chamber glows with reflected starlight funneled through a lens far above. The room is unlike anything you've seen. In its center rises a structure of rotating rings and gears, brass, gold, and obsidian. At its base, a pedestal with planetary levers. The mechanism, Al-Rashid says, built in the time of the Caliphate, hidden from kings, powered only during an eclipse. He gestures for you to approach. Matteo stares wide-eyed. I thought it was myth. It was, Al-Rashid answers, until you came. You step closer. Your hand hovers over the lunar lever. Begin with Mercury, he says. You do. The chamber vibrates. Overhead, the starlight shifts. One by one, the rings begin to rotate, forming a living orrery that projects alignments, cycles, and outcomes. You see the rise of emperors, the burning of cities, and your own birth chart, again, woven into the fabric of planetary fate. It reads you, Al-Rashid murmurs, because you carry the codex, the cardinal, and the mask. You camp near the mechanism. That night, a stranger arrives. Clad in crimson and shadow, a cardinal of Rome, his name is Benedictus. He knows Al-Rashid. We were once students together, he says, before Rome forbade the stars. He does not threaten, not exactly, but he proposes an offer. Come with me to Avignon, show the Pope what you've built. Prove astrology is not heresy, but divine law. Al-Rashid refuses. But the cardinal looks to you. The church does not fear knowledge, only silence. Let us share the stars. That night, you dream of two towers. One crumbles in flame, the other rises under eclipse. When you wake, the codex is open, and a new glyph has appeared, a decision, under eclipse. The eclipse begins at midday. You stand before the mechanism. Sol arrives, unexpected, breathless, with warnings. They're coming, she says, the Inquisition, they followed the cardinal. Al-Rashid looks to you. There is no more time, you must decide. The codex pulses. The mechanism glows. You can. Stay and fight. Flee and hide the codex, or follow the cardinal and infiltrate the church. Matteo grips your shoulder. Sol closes her eyes. Al-Rashid says nothing. And the stars spin, the revelation in flames. You choose to stay. The codex is too powerful, too ancient, too dangerous to fall into the wrong hands, even those veiled in velvet and gold. Al-Rashid nods solemnly, as if he had known your choice all along. Then let us show the stars their champions. The eclipse reaches its zenith. The chamber dims. The mechanism begins to spin faster, humming in deep rhythm like a celestial heart. Sol positions crystal mirrors to focus the dwindling sunlight. Matteo recalculates planetary hours with trembling fingers. Then, the first sound of boots on stone. They've come. The Inquisitor's entry. The door bursts open. A dozen men in black robes step inside, torches held high. At their head, a figure tall and gaunt, with eyes like glass and a voice like rusted steel. In the name of the Holy Office, he declares, this place is condemned. But then he sees you. He pauses and he smiles. I know that chart, he says, the one from Cordoba. It was never meant to return. You hold the codex tight. Sol raises a mirror. Matteo speaks first. You fear the stars because they name you, because they saw your birth and your fall. The Inquisitor laughs, but you are already stepping toward the mechanism. And with one breath, you pull the lever marked Fatum. The stars strike back. The floor trembles. The zodiac ring glows. The ceiling opens as the final sliver of sun disappears. The mechanism projects a vast image above you, a celestial map not of the sky but of the minds present. Each man's fate gleams in constellation. One Inquisitor drops his torch. Another begins to weep. Al-Rashid steps forward. This is not sorcery, he says. This is truth. The Inquisitor screams, covering his face. But the cardinal reappears, holding up his ring of office. "Enough," he shouts. "You've seen what your church fears. Let them call it heresy, but I see revelation." He kneels before the mechanism. "You've proven it. Let me be your witness." The Inquisitor flees. The secret beneath Rome. After the eclipse, silence. You sit with Al-Rashid and the cardinal in the now peaceful chamber. The codex remains open, the last glyph still glowing. "You must understand," the cardinal says, "this is not the first time the codex has surfaced. In 410, when Rome burned, it was hidden. In 529, when the academy closed, it passed to the east. Always it returns in times of collapse." Al-Rashid nods. "And now?" you ask. He points to the codex. A final line appears. "When the phoenix breathes beneath stone crowns, the stars shall choose their next scribes." The cardinal looks at you. "We need to go to Rome." "Why?" "Because there's another vault, was cut beneath the Vatican, buried since the days of the Sibyls." You glance at Sol. She says nothing, but her hand finds yours. Matteo exhales, then smiles. "It seems the journey isn't over." "No," you think. "It has only just begun." Chapter 3. The Vault of Sibyls. The journey to Rome is silent. Not from lack of words, but from the weight of knowing too much. The cardinal arranges safe passage under forged banners, ecclesiastical business, he claims. You travel by covered cart, hidden beneath scrolls and incense crates. Matteo rides beside you, copying star tables with furious precision. Sol speaks little, but when she does, her questions cut to the bone. "Do you trust him?" she asks one evening, nodding toward the cardinal. You hesitate. "I trust that he believes the stars speak truth." "That," she says flatly, "is not the same as trusting why he listens." Rome rises like a mirage, golden domes, black smoke, statues crumbling under ivy. But beneath it all, you sense something vast, something old. The codex hums as you pass through the gates. The stars above seem to tremble. The Archivum Arcanae. The cardinal escorts you through a maze of Vatican corridors lit by thin candles and guarded by silence. At a chapel shaped like a star, he unlocks a hidden door behind a frieze of angels. "The Archivum Arcanae," he whispers. "Few know of it. Fewer survive its knowledge." The chamber is circular, windowless, and layered in concentric shelves of forbidden books. A globe of gold and crystal spins slowly in the center. Half map, half star chart. He removes a scroll. Its wax seal bears the emblem of the Sibylline order. Sol draws in breath sharply. It's real. The cardinal unrolls the parchment on a silver table. The symbols on it aren't Latin nor Greek, not Arabic. You know them from the codex. "The language of the stars," Matteo says. "Before Babel, before names." You decode the top line. "Beneath the crown of stone lies the mouth of memory, opened only by shadow and flame." The cardinal points to a location marked in constellation, under the Basilica of Saint Clemente. "We go at moonrise," he says, "beneath the crown of stone." At moonrise, you follow the cardinal through streets emptied by curfew and superstition. The codex is hidden beneath your cloak, though it hums louder now, like a heartbeat before a revelation. You pass beneath an ancient arch. Dogs bark, then fall silent. The Basilica of St. Clement looms ahead, its stones blackened by time and soot. Above its high altar, mosaics shimmer with gold, Christ, angels, vines, and hidden among them small stars. You descend. The first staircase leads to a lower church, Romanesque and forgotten. The second to a Mithraic temple, still older. And finally, beyond a sealed stone door, you reach the third level, carved into volcanic rock, whispering with cold. The cardinal lights a torch. Its flame dances strangely, leaning toward the shadows. Sol kneels. She places one hand on the ground. "It's here," she says, "the mouth of memory." The ritual of fire and dark. Matteo unpacks the instruments, a compass of obsidian, 4 stones marked with zodiac glyphs, and a bowl of oil. Al-Rashid had taught you the ritual long ago, but only now do you understand its weight. You draw a circle, you light the oil, you whisper the ancient names of the 7 wandering stars. The codex opens on its own, a page turns blank. Then, slowly, writing appears in light. "One who walks with Mercury, who dreams beneath Saturn, shall wake the voice lost in flame." The ground trembles, a breath, a sound like stone inhaling, and then the mouth opens. The first Sibyl. The chamber beyond is spherical, lined with smooth black stone etched with star maps, and in its center a pedestal. Atop it, a mask. Wrought in silver and shadow, it pulses with cold. Sol gasps. "That is not a relic, it's an interface." The cardinal crosses himself. You step forward. The mask recognizes you. It unfolds, flower-like. You place it over your face. Darkness. And then, light. A voice not made of breath, but of memory and starfire. You are the first in 500 years to stand beneath Rome and not lie. Speak, ask, awaken. You inhale sharply, and the codex burns in your chest. The Sibyl's challenge. The light inside the mask swirls like mist caught in flame. But it is not mist, it is memory pressed into symbol. A stream of constellations spins past your vision, then freezes. A question burns across your mind. What guides the soul when the stars fall silent? You answer without words, only intent. You think of the codex, of Soul's eyes in the dark, of Mateo's faith, of Al-Rashid's silence. You think of seeking, always seeking. The voice replies, then you are not lost. The chamber shifts, a second pedestal rises. On it, a brass astrolabe with an extra ring, one that marks not the hours or houses, but something older, unknown. Saul steps forward. That ring, it's not from any chart I've ever seen. Mateo consults his notes, stunned. It follows no planetary motion. You place your hand upon it. The room darkens. The stars on the walls begin to move. They show Rome, but not as it is, as it will be. Fires, floods, and then a city in silence. Then a final image, your own face, reflected in the celestial dome. You remove the mask. The codex pulses once. A new glyph appears. Not Latin, not Arabic, not human. Saul speaks its shape aloud. It's the Sibyl's voice returns one last time. The codex has chosen its scribe, but to write, one must first forget. Everything goes white. The price of knowledge. You awaken to silence. The chamber is unchanged, yet everything is different. Saul kneels at your side, her eyes glistening. Mateo holds the codex, his hands trembling. You were gone, he says. Not unconscious, just gone. How long? 3 hours. The cardinal stands near the mask, now inert. She took something from you, he says softly. That is the pact. You try to recall what he means, but something is missing. A memory, a word, a face. The sealing of the codex. Saul opens the codex. The pages flutter wildly. One by one, the glyphs vanish like stardust dissolving in wind, all except the last, the starseed. Mateo watches in awe. It's closed itself. No, Saul corrects, it's preparing, like soil waiting for rain. The chamber begins to rumble. Stone shifts, dust falls. A voice, not the Sibyl's this time, but Rome itself, echoes through the earth. Memory is not a gift, it is a burden. The pedestal sinks, the mask seals, the mouth of memory closes. Return to the surface. You emerge before dawn. The city breathes above you, unaware. Vendors set up in the market. Monks chant lauds. A child chases pigeons. Life continues. But for you, nothing is the same. The codex rests beneath your cloak, heavy not with pages but with silence. Al-Rashid awaits at the edge of the piazza. He sees your face and bows. You entered the vault, he says, and returned. The stars will never forget you. You glance at the sky. A new crescent moon has risen. You are no longer just a traveler. You are now the scribe of the stars. And Rome, for all its might, has no idea what stirs beneath it. Chapter 4. The Circle of the Ninth Heaven. Your return to Toledo is not one of triumph, but of silence. Saul walks ahead of you, unreadable. Mateo rarely speaks except to scribble notes, complex diagrams of new planetary cycles. And you carry the codex, now sealed, but somehow heavier, not in weight, in purpose. The tower above the city has not changed. Its copper dome still catches the sunlight as though it were holding it captive. But the door you enter this time is not the one the public knows. It opens into shadow. A spiral staircase leads down, not up. You descend in silence, the scent of aged parchment and cedar filling your lungs. At the base, a round door, carved with the 9 concentric heavens. In the center, an open hand etched in silver. Saul places her palm to it. It glows. It opens. The Council of Constellations. Inside, a hall bathed in starlight. Not candlelight, not torches. Starlight projected from unseen lenses above. 9 chairs in a circle, only 7 are filled. They rise as you enter. Men, women, one blind, one veiled. One with skin inked in constellations. Soul speaks. This is the one. The veiled woman responds, her voice like bells underwater. Has the codex acknowledged them? Mateo nods. It gave them a name glyph, a starseed, a murmur among the circle. Then we begin. The blind one lifts a staff and points it at the ceiling. Stars shift, and a new constellation appears. One none of you has ever seen. One shaped like a door. The constellation that does not exist. The door constellation remains motionless, suspended in starlight. Saul steps forward first. This isn't in any chart, she whispers. Not Greco-Roman, not Persian, not even the Chaldean vaults. The blind man, who has not spoken until now, tilts his head. It is not a constellation, it is a cipher. The veiled woman nods. Then we must unlock it. You approach the center of the circle. The codex pulses once in your satchel. You pull it free. It opens not to a page, but to the same sigil in the sky, now drawn in ink of iron. 9 lines branch from it, 9 planets, 9 ages. A voice, not yours, but through you, speaks aloud. It is the shape of what comes next. The fracture. A murmur ripples through the circle. The man inked with stars rises sharply. No, the codex does not decide for us. We are not prophets. We are guardians. Guardians of what? Matteo challenges. Dust? The veiled woman remains still. The codex glows brighter. A crack echoes through the stone beneath your feet. The vault is listening, Saul says, but no one hears her. Voices rise. The circle splits. Half rise in defiance. Half remain seated, uncertain. Then, the codex slams shut of its own accord, and a single phrase appears across its cover. When the circle breaks, the gate opens. You look up. The constellation door is beginning to move. The gate opens. The circle above cracks open. Not physically, not entirely. It is a crack in certainty, in history, a ripple through the vault of the heavens. The codex opens again, unaided, and emits a low harmonic hum. The ink from the ciphered page rises into the air, forming a map that leads inward. Beneath the tower, a staircase is revealed, only visible under the light of the floating cipher. You descend. Sol, Matteo, and the woman follow. The rest stay above, too shaken or too bound to old vows. Each step downward feels lighter, then heavier, as if gravity bends towards something. At the base, a door of stone unlike any you've seen. Etched on its surface, a mirror, a star, a name, your name. You touch it. It opens. The heart of the 9th heaven. The chamber within is spherical, lined with crystal veins pulsing like slow lightning. In its center floats a sphere, half mechanical, half alive. Planetary rings rotate around it. A voice surrounds you, not spoken, not divine. Simply true. This is the origin. The place where astrologers were once not readers, but writers. Sol's breath catches. Matteo falls to his knees. The codex floats into the sphere and fuses with it. Light spills from every surface. Glyphs dance across the floor and walls. You understand them instantly. It is the history of the 9th heaven, not a place. A task. To guard not the stars, but the ability to change them. The veiled woman turns to you. Will you write? You look at your hands, and the universe listens. Chapter 5. The Astrologer of Prague. The wind in Prague carries frost and secrets. You arrive cloaked and hooded, escorted by a rider with no name and fewer words. The snow crunches beneath your boots as you pass beneath the astronomical clock, its great gilded face ticking away the future. You are expected. The codex remains silent, not inert, never inert, but quiet, as if holding its breath. Inside the star house, firelight flickers over walls covered in obsidian mirrors. The scent of juniper smoke stings your eyes, and there, at the center of the darkened chamber, stands a man in a robe of midnight blue. His hands are stained with ink. His eyes are shut. He speaks your name, and only then does he open his eyes. You're later than I thought, he says. Later than what, you ask? Than the stars had hoped. The mirrors of smoke. The room feels timeless, as if it has waited centuries for your presence. The astrologer gestures to a seat beside the fire. I dreamt of your arrival, he says, but dreams, like orbits, shift. Sometimes they collide. He moves to a mirror. It is unlike the others. Circular. Black. Clouded from within. I am called Elian, he says. Once court astrologer to Emperor Charles, now archivist of echoes. He touches the mirror. Smoke blooms within. A figure appears. Your figure, but younger. Your face, but with a mark you do not bear. Elian watches you. That is not who you are, he says. It is who you could have been. You step back. The mirror shifts. The smoke redraws itself. Another version. Older. Scarred. Eyes cold with power. You look away. That one, he says. You must never become. You steady yourself. What is this? He walks to a cabinet of scrolls, pulls one, opens it. A map eclipses. One, centered on Prague, is circled in red. This never happened, he whispers, but the codex says it did. You reach for the codex. It opens to a page written in Elian's hand. I never wrote this, he breathes, but it remembers me. The hour that wasn't. That night, Elian takes you beneath the city, past crypts and canals, through chambers filled with broken clocks and forgotten calendars. He lights a lantern whose glass is etched with constellations. The flame inside burns silver blue. "This way," he says. "Mind your thoughts. This place listens." You descend into what he calls the hour that wasn't, a chamber beneath the Vltava, built long before the river was tamed. It is circular. At its center, an orrery still turns, slowly, despite no visible mechanism. On the walls, glyphs, not in Latin, Greek, or Arabic, but something older, familiar, from the codex. "This is where the stars paused," Elian says. He places the codex on the floor. The glyphs on the wall pulse. A tone, clear, singular, rings out. You feel it in your teeth. A mirror on the ceiling activates, swirls, reflects not your face, but that of someone else. A young girl. She looks frightened, then determined. "She is in the future," Elian whispers. "How can that be?" He turns to you, pale, because she's about to write this page. The codex glows and begins to write itself. The stars rearranged. The orrery slows. The silver blue flame dims. Elian looks up. The codex has stopped writing, yet its glow remains. You hear it first, not with your ears, but inside your skull. A chord, dissonant, ancient, pulling. Then without warning, the room warps, not visually, but temporally. The mirrors, walls, glyphs, all ripple like reflections in stirred water. Elian screams. You reach for the codex. It opens, and within it not ink, but motion. Pages that turn themselves, glyphs that rearrange. A portal takes form, one not of sight, but of sensation. Elian grabs your wrist. "Don't look through it," he says. "Feel through it." You close your eyes. It's like falling without falling. Drifting without motion. There is nowhere, only when. And then you're standing, in sunlight. A forest, birdsong, and footsteps behind you. A child. You turn. It's the girl from the mirror. She's older now, but it's her. She holds the codex. Except it's not leather-bound. It's made of light? Paper-thin crystal? She looks at you. "You were in my dreams," she says. You nod. "And you in mine." She opens the book. "This isn't the only codex," she whispers, "and it's not the first." The forest flickers. A howl. The codex glows red. Elian's voice echoes from nowhere. "She's the key to the convergence. Protect her." The forest fractures like glass, and you fall. Through time, through memory, into Chapter 6. Chapter 6, The Clockwork of the Cosmos. You awaken in a place both familiar and impossible. The sun above is pale, suspended too perfectly in a violet sky. A city surrounds you, its spires curved like crescent moons, domes glinting with zodiac mosaics. Yet no one walks its silver streets. The girl is beside you. Her codex hums softly, pages shimmering with translucent glyphs. "This is Noctivigus," she says, "the city between ticks of time, built by astrologers who abandoned the stars to shape destiny directly." She leads you into a cathedral of glass. Its walls are maps, celestial, temporal, and something else. A third layer beneath. "Here," she says, pointing, "your name appears. Rewritten. Twice." You approach. See your own signature, familiar, and another in your hand, but twisted. One line flows like wind. The other cuts like steel. The girl turns, eyes wide with knowing. "There are many versions of you," she says, "but only one can remain." Behind you, a door opens without sound. A figure enters. You, but older, crowned in starlight. He smiles, not kindly. "I remember being you," he says, and draws a blade shaped like a crescent moon. You stare at the weapon. It glows faintly, humming with energy not of this world. "I am the path you tried not to take," he continues, "the one you were afraid to walk." The girl steps between you, holding her codex high. "No fighting in Noctivigus," she says sharply. "This is neutral ground." He lowers the blade, barely. "But he must choose," he growls. Suddenly the walls of the cathedral shimmer, and a dozen other versions of you begin to materialize, some regal, others broken, each bearing signs of different fates. A voice echoes from the dome above. "The one who remains must align the heavens anew." You're guided to the center of the chamber, where a great sphere spins, its surface covered with moving glyphs. You are to choose one. One glyph. One fate. The older you whispers, "Choose conquest." The girl says, "Choose harmony." Another version of you bleeds from a wound, saying nothing. Your hand moves, time stills. You touch a glyph shaped like a spiral. The sphere erupts in light, the codices merge. You vanish, and awaken, in Florence, year 1492. Florence smells of ink and sweat, of lavender fields ghosting through alleyways, and the subtle scent of burning wax drifting out of open churches. But there's something else, something you recognize instantly, the distinct ozone of raw magic. The year is 1492. The codex, now bound in brass and glass, feels warm in your hands. You walk among people dressed in rich brocades and crimson silks. Artists sketch at street corners, and merchants shout the value of gold and spice. Above all this, you hear it again, the low celestial hum. But it's fractured, uncertain. Time isn't settled, says a voice. You turn. It's him again, the older you. But something has changed. He's fading. Because of your choice, he murmurs, I am unraveling. You grab his shoulder, but your hand moves through him like mist. Listen, he continues. You must find the astrarium. They buried it beneath Santa Croce. Leonardo knows the way. He's already dreaming of you. Then he vanishes. A single feather falls where he stood. You look up. The dome of the Duomo tilts slightly. No one else sees it. But you do. You are no longer in time. Time is in you. You find Leonardo da Vinci not through a map, but through a dream. At night, visions return. Machines that resemble stars, drawings that twist into sigils, and a compass that points to a time, not a place. You follow it, until one day, in a Florentine workshop thick with charcoal dust and scrolls, a man turns to you and says, I dreamt you would come. Leonardo is younger than you imagined, eyes bright like stars trapped in mortal form. His hands are stained with ink and secrets. The Codex speaks to you, he says. He doesn't ask, he knows. He leads you below the workshop, as into catacombs lit by phosphorescent moss. There, between old Roman columns, lies a globe of silver and opal. The astrarium. It shows the sky, Leonardo says, as it should be, not as it is. He turns a dial. The stars above change. Real stars, not projections. Now, he whispers, find the convergence. The globe flickers. Stars inside it spin wildly, then settle into a new arrangement, one unfamiliar. Leonardo narrows his eyes. Something changed, he says, tapping the glass with the end of a bronze stylus. Not just above, within. The codex in your hands responds, humming in resonance. Leonardo leans closer. That book you hold, it was never written by a hand, it wrote itself. He places a mirror on the table. Invert the astrarium through the mirror, and you'll see it. You do. The stars realign into a symbol, a convergence of constellations not seen in any known sky. It's not a place, you whisper. It's a moment. Leonardo smiles. Yes, a moment outside of time when all possibilities collapse into one. Your vision blurs, the floor beneath you shifts. Suddenly, you are no longer in Florence. You are in the moment. A cathedral made of moonlight surrounds you. Every step echoes across centuries. Figures stand in pews, some cloaked, some armored, some in rags. You recognize faces from before. The girl, the elder you. Leonardo, the astrologer from Bologna, the master from Prague. They all look to you. Above, a great mechanical orrery hangs from nothing. Each gear is a world. Each turn, a century. The codex glows fiercely in your hands. A voice booms. The convergence begins. You are lifted into the air. Memories from every timeline fill you. Joys you never lived, pains you never felt. You scream, or perhaps it is someone else's scream inside you. You are being rewritten. And then, stillness. You open your eyes. You are once again in the glass city of Noctivagus, but this time you are alone. The codex lies closed beside you. A single page sticks out. It reads, to continue, turn the sky. You look up. The stars above are not fixed. They are turning slowly, revealing symbols like runes. You reach up and the sky responds. Time, now, is in your hands. Chapter 7, The Planetary Council. The stars part like curtains. You are no longer in Noctivagus. You are in a circular chamber that pulses with celestial rhythm. 7 thrones float above the ground, one for each classical planet. Luna, Mercurius, Venus, Sol, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturnus. Each throne occupied by a figure draped in robes not of cloth, but of memory. They are the Planetary Council. A booming voice echoes in all directions. You are summoned not as witness, but as axis. Your mouth opens, but you say nothing. The codex glows white-hot in your arms. From the throne of Saturnus rises an old man, eyes like black holes, robes trailing stardust. We have felt your choices, he says. You have bent time. You have held prophecy. You have walked into destinies not your own. Another voice, gentler, comes from the throne of Venus, a woman of ageless beauty whose hair moves as if underwater. But you have also healed lineages. You have carried forgotten truths. You have listened when others shouted. The codex flips open. Pages lift and spin mid-air, forming a helix of written light. From the throne of Sol, a blazing figure gestures. Let the trial of alignment begin. You are pulled upward, spiraling through pages, visions, voices, each a moment of your journey so far. Every decision, every ally, every hesitation, The council watches. Then, one by one, the figures step down. They circle you. One touches your forehead. You feel the moon's pull in your blood. Another places a hand on your chest. The sun surges behind your heart. One whispers in your ear. Mercury dances on your tongue. Each planet imprints its essence on your body until you glow. Not like a star, like a sky. Then the codex speaks. Its voice is yours, but deeper. This one is convergence incarnate. The chamber trembles. A doorway opens in the void. And you know, behind it lies not the past, but the first future. But before you can step into the unknown, one voice halts the convergence. It comes from the throne of Mars, a warrior queen clad in crimson armor inscribed with glyphs of celestial war. We cannot proceed, she declares, without the seventh test. A murmur passes through the council. Saturnus leans forward. Ah, yes, the test of opposition. You blink. Another test? Venus smiles gently. The others were inward. This one is mirrored. The void ripples, and from it steps you, another version, different posture, slightly older, wounded perhaps, eyes burning with something unfamiliar. This is your anti-self, says Mercury, born from every thought you silenced, every truth you buried. Your other self circles you. I was the one who said no when you said yes, who doubted when you believed, who waited while you rushed forward. You raise the codex, but it does not glow. This battle cannot be won with tools, says Sol, only with knowing, and so begins the test of opposition. At first you try to reason. I'm not here to fight, you say. I am, replies the anti-self. A wave of energy pulses from them, not of magic, but of negation. A field of denial. It wipes away your sense of place, of purpose. You stagger. They speak again. You defined yourself by what you sought. I am what you fled. Visions blur behind their eyes. A life of fear, regret, failure, the alternate paths never taken. The council watches silently. You fall into a posture of defense. But the codex remains dim. No prophecy comes. No ally intervenes. You will not defeat me, the anti-self snarls, until you name me. You breathe. You look inward, and it hits you. This is not a being to destroy, but to recognize. You recall the years you doubted your calling, the words you never spoke, the invitations you ignored, the friends you let go, the loves you feared to lose. You walk toward the anti-self. I name you. You hesitate. I name you truth. The figure freezes, then smiles and merges into you. Your chest erupts in warmth. The codex flares with a light so bright it sears the chamber. The council shields their eyes. You have passed, says Saturnus. Venus weeps. Mars nods. Sol, radiant, speaks. You are no longer the bearer of the codex. You are the codex. Time bends. The chamber collapses into stardust, and you awaken on the threshold of the next era. Chapter 8. The Labyrinth of Sigils. It is no longer night, nor is it day. The sky above you churns like a page, half inked, half blank. You stand upon a surface of pure glass. Beneath it, the stars move, not above, below. Your feet shift, and the stars rearrange. A labyrinth behind you, no footsteps remain. Ahead of you, 12 paths, one for each sign. A whisper reaches your mind, not in sound, but sensation. The codex, now part of you, pulses with meaning. You know this place. It is the Zodiaca Arcanum, a space few ever reach. And no one escapes, except by mastering the ancient sigils, glyphs lost to time. Or so the stories said. The first step you take reshapes the path. Beneath your heel, the constellation of Leo glows fiercely, sending a ripple through the glass. A wall forms behind you, transparent but impassable. Each choice seals the last. You understand. This is not a maze to escape, but to transform. Symbols etch themselves in the air, glyphs from languages never spoken aloud. You see a door ahead, floating just above the path, inscribed with a spiral of astrological houses. It bears the symbol of Aries. You reach toward it, and a wind howls from the left, carrying sand and smoke. A figure forms within it, ragged robes, skin inked with signs of retrograde planets, eyes burning red like eclipsed moons. The Sigil Warden, you whisper. He smiles. You are not the first to walk here, but you may be the last. He draws a blade of glass and ash. The test has begun. The Sigil Warden steps forward. With each movement, glyphs flicker across his blade. You instinctively raise your arm, and the codex lights your palm. A glyph pulses there, one you have never seen, yet somehow understand. It is the sigil of balance. The blade swings toward you, and your body moves not with training, but with alignment. The codex inside you guides your hand, and your fingers trace the symbol in the air. The warden's strike halts mid-air. His sword shivers, then vanishes in a shimmer of stardust. You, remember, he murmurs, narrowing his gaze. Then the labyrinth may accept you. He steps aside, dissolving into vapor, leaving only a fragment behind. A shard of obsidian etched with a glowing glyph. You pick it up. It vibrates gently in your hand. The codex responds. 1 down, 11 to go. The door of Ares opens, you step through. The landscape changes immediately. You are now in a chamber that resembles a temple carved into a mountain, lit by columns of sunlight streaming through geometric openings above. On the far wall, the symbol of Ares burns bright in gold, but there is no clear path forward. Only 12 altars, each missing a central piece. The shard. You place it in the Ares altar. It locks in with a sound like thunder, and the whole chamber hums to life. From the center rises a projection, a memory not yours, but from someone who walked these halls before you. A Roman priestess, her hair braided with gold thread, whispering incantations under the spring equinox. She speaks of Mars, of courage, of war and purpose, and of betrayal. You feel the emotions, not only hers, but those of all Ares-souled travelers before you. This is not just a test of intellect. It is a test of memory, of resonance, of archetypal truth. Another door opens. This time, Taurus. But before you can enter, the chamber shakes. Shadows creep in through the cracks. A second warden has come. His face is hidden behind a mask of vines and bone. He speaks no words, only gestures. And behind him you see your own face, carved in stone. The image is old, weathered, yet unmistakable. Your face stares back at you from the stone. Not as you are now, but older, wiser, or perhaps broken. Before you can react, the second warden lifts a staff made from twisted roots. It thuds against the marble. The floor beneath you cracks, not enough to fall, but enough to shift the labyrinth again. The Taurus door flickers. For a moment, it becomes Gemini, then Cancer, then stillness. Prove identity, the warden rasps without moving his mouth. Not who you are, who you will become. A mirror rises behind him, in it a dozen versions of you. One wears robes soaked in blood, another carries a crown of ash. A third walks hand in hand with someone you've never met but feel you once loved. Only one version moves. It steps forward through the mirror. You meet yourself. It speaks. Say the word that bound us. You hesitate. Then Veritas. The other you nods. The warden vanishes. You are left with the second shard. It is heavier than the first and colder. You step through the door. Now Taurus. You are in a glade. No walls, no roof. The stars above are unnatural. Each one glows with the intensity of a torch. You hear the rustling of leaves, the snort of a bull nearby. Taurus is not a room. It is alive. A great creature stands among the trees, part bull, part constellation. Its body shifts between flesh and stardust. It watches you, then speaks in a voice like rumbling earth. What do you own, little one? The codex pulses. You feel the memories of Taurus, a farmer who buried his child in the field he loved. A queen who chose loyalty over wealth. A monk who renounced gold to learn the language of trees. Taurus is not about possession. It is about value. You raise your hand and respond, nothing, and everything. The bull bows. A vine-covered stone rises from the earth. On it, the next altar, you place the shard. Lightning splits the sky, and suddenly you are not alone. A figure steps from the shadows, clad in black, their face covered, but you know the energy. They are not part of the labyrinth. They are hunting you. They move with purpose, not curiosity. This is not their first step in the labyrinth. Their hand rests on a blade, but they do not draw it. Instead, they speak. You are out of time. You feel it before you understand it. The labyrinth is bleeding. Cracks split the ground. Glyphs flicker wildly. The stars above tremble in place, then jitter, like insects pinned to paper. The intruder lifts their mask, and you see yourself. Again. But this version is wrong. Not a reflection, a rewriting, eyes like obsidian, skin pale as death, a voice tuned to frequencies that echo behind your teeth. I am the codex you buried, it says, the truth you chose to forget. It steps forward, the glade bends around them, trees leaning back in fear. You try to summon your glyphs, your sigils, but they won't respond. You are not aligned here. The intruder tosses you a third shard. It burns. You'll need this, they say. In Gemini, your mind will shatter. Try not to lose too many versions of yourself. Then they vanish. A moment later, the Taurus altar seals. The glade dissolves. The labyrinth is spinning. You're hurled into a corridor of twin mirrors. Gemini. Each wall reflects you, but changes you. In one you are smiling, in another weeping. In another, no face at all, a hallway of infinite selves. You must walk it. Each step feels like a lifetime. Memories not yours crash into your mind, childhoods you never had, regrets you've never earned, joys you've never known. The codex pulses wildly, too much. You fall to your knees. Then, silence. From the mirror steps not an enemy, not yourself, but someone, familiar, a twin, not by blood, by soul. You don't know their name, but you know their purpose, to walk beside you. They kneel, offer you a hand. You can't hold all of yourself alone, they say. Let me carry one version for you. You nod, together you rise. The altar awaits. Gemini is not a test, it is a bond. You place the third shard. The labyrinth pauses, then turns again. You are not where you were. A hush falls across the world. You stand before a chamber of water, vast, endless, contained within a single drop hanging in space. Cancer. The drop expands, and you are inside it. The air smells of salt and brine. You hear waves crashing, but see no ocean, only the memory of one. The walls shimmer. Ghosts walk beside you, hooded, silent. They carry lanterns not to see, but to be seen. One of them touches your shoulder, and in that instant, you are no longer in your body. You are someone else. A mother in Alexandria holding her child as the stars vanish behind a sandstorm. A sailor caught in the whirlpool off Sicilia, cursing the moon that dragged him too far from home. A priestess of Luna painting glyphs with silver ink across her chest before the solstice tide. You return, gasping. The codex is wet, covered in symbols written in tears. Cancer does not test, it remembers. You approach the altar, barely able to walk. The fourth shard, placed. But as the altar activates, a cry pierces the chamber. One of the ghosts is not a ghost, it is alive and furious. The mask falls, it is a face you know. Not your own, but your twin's. The soul who walked beside you in Gemini. Now, twisted. I took your grief, they scream. You left me inside it. They rush forward, but you do not raise a weapon. You raise the codex. It glows, and from the pages rise not spells, but names. All the names you've ever been called. All the truths you've tried to forget. They stop, trembling. You take their hand. I'm sorry. They collapse into your arms and vanish. Cancer seals itself. You weep, then rise. The labyrinth calls again. The light changes. Now it burns. The next chamber is flame and gold and the scent of incense. Leo, you step forward into a coliseum carved of obsidian. Statues of beasts roar in eternal silence. At the center, a throne made of sunlit marble, empty, until you blink, and he is there. The king, not crowned, born so. He rises. No words, only gaze. And suddenly you are seen. Not looked at, seen. He walks toward you with the grace of a lion. You feel your posture straighten, your shame ignite, your pride return. He circles you. Then speaks, why do you fear your own brilliance? You don't answer. He stops before you, holds out a sword, not to fight, tonight. I saw you, he says. In every moment you hid. I saw the crown you buried under excuses. He kneels. You are breathless. The codex burns in your hand, not with pain but recognition. The fifth shard appears in a blaze. You place it. The throne vanishes. Now the Colosseum is full. Thousands watch you. Versions of yourself, all the moments you failed to rise, all the times you dared. They cheer, you bow, but the labyrinth does not pause. A new light ignites, and it is sharp. Virgo, you feel the shift before you see it. The fire of Leo does not fade, it crystallizes. Precision replaces glory. You walk into a chamber shaped like a clockwork flower. Gears turn petals of bronze. Silver dust flows in rivulets across marble. Everything here is exact. And standing at the center is a woman. She is not adorned. She does not need to be. Her presence is order. Her breath, balance. She does not greet you. She begins measuring your height, your steps, your hesitation, each recorded with a click. I have seen your fire, she says. Now show me your structure. A table appears. On it, broken objects. A compass with its needle shattered. A quill snapped in two. A vial of ink spilled but not emptied. You may restore one, she says. You reach for the compass. No, she says. The quill. No. You hesitate and touch the spilled ink. It seeps into your fingers. 1,000 equations flood your mind, not numbers, choices. You realize Virgo is not about perfection. It is about discernment. You kneel. Trace a glyph with the ink on the marble. She nods. The shard materializes, this time as a crystal so clear it seems to vanish in your hand. Carry this, she says, and remember, precision is not control. It is care. She vanishes. The labyrinth pulses. Ahead, a dark corridor. The stars no longer guide, only instinct. You walk. The corridor narrows, then widens, and you are in Libra. The room is neither light nor dark, a twilight space, balanced on the edge of contrast. At the center, a great scale, impossibly large. One pan holds a feather, the other, nothing. But the feather is rising. You step forward and the chamber responds. Wind swirls but carries no sound. The codex in your hand is unreadable, its ink shifting, undecided. A figure stands beneath the scale. They wear no crown, no robe, only a blindfold. Justice, you think, but as they speak, their voice is yours. Truth is not the weight, they say. It is the balance. You are beckoned to the scale. Another figure appears, this time across from you. Your opposite. Not evil, not false. Simply the part you deny. They hold your regrets, your withheld kindness, your unsent letters, your quiet betrayals. You must judge, says the blindfolded one, but only if you are willing to be judged. The codex floats to the scale. On one side, your deeds, on the other, your intentions. They do not balance. Until you speak. I was afraid. The scales shift. I tried. They level. I can do better. The feather drops. The balance holds. The blindfolded figure removes their covering. It is not your face. It is every face. They smile. The shard forms, perfectly symmetrical, silver and clear. You place it in your satchel, and suddenly the ground beneath you falls away. You are weightless, spiraling, falling into Scorpio. There is no landing, only arrival. Scorpio welcomes no footsteps. It pulls you into its depth. You awaken submerged, water black as obsidian, cold yet alive. You do not drown, you remember. You are inside the undercurrent of yourself. Shapes drift by, former versions, broken masks, whispers that were never spoken aloud. Then a pair of eyes, brighter than fire, hungrier than fear. The scorpion, it coils around you without touching. Its tail sways, not to strike, to warn. A voice, not yours, not it, speaks. Truth is the sting you deny. The codex opens in the water. The ink does not dissolve. It reveals a chapter you sealed. A betrayal. Not of others, of yourself. A promise broken, a power denied, a love disowned. The scorpion circles, then stills. You must confront it. Not fight, not flee. Confess. You speak the words you buried. I lied to survive. I silenced who I was. I feared my own depth. The scorpion pulses and vanishes. You are left alone, but not empty. In your hands, a shard blacker than shadow, glowing at the edges with violet fire. You surface, not gasping, laughing. You have survived yourself. The labyrinth trembles and shifts. Next, Sagittarius. The air returns, but it is not earth that greets you. It is sky. You are no longer walking. You are flying. Sagittarius. The chamber is boundless. A plain of stars, pierced by comets and arcsing meteors. Above you, centaur constellations in full gallop. Below you, only your shadow, galloping too. A bow appears in your hand. You know how to use it. A voice calls from above. You must aim. You turn. They are galloping toward you on a bridge of lightning. The archer. He is half man, half beast, all fire. He doesn't stop. He fires. You duck. But the arrow lands in your hand. It is not wood. It is memory. A time you were brave, a time you dared, a time you failed and rose. He circles, knocking another. Truth is the target you run from, he roars. He fires again. This one pierces your chest, not with pain but clarity. You see all the paths you might have taken, all the worlds you could have built. The codex flips open on its own. The ink rearranges. It does not show the past, it shows possible futures. You cannot live them all, says the archer. But you must choose. He raises his hand. 1,000 doors appear around you, each marked with a symbol. Each leads to a life. You step forward. Choose one. Not because it is safe, because it is yours. The world dissolves. You are left holding a new shard, this one shaped like an arrowhead, bright as dawn. You smile and fall. Capricorn waits. You land, not with impact but with gravity. Capricorn stone surrounds you, ancient, immovable. The chamber is a mountain carved from time itself. Runes shimmer on its walls, language older than memory. Each step echoes forever. There is no guide here, no test, only ascent. A narrow stair spirals up the mountain's heart. You climb. Hours pass, or lifetimes. You think of giving up. But Capricorn is endurance. A voice rises from the stone. Ambition without structure is fire without stone. You keep climbing. You meet no creature, no guardian. Only obstacles. A cliff face with no holds. A frozen wall, slick with truth. A bridge that collapses as you cross it. Each time you adapt. You fail. You try again. Not with desperation. With intention. At the summit, the air is still. A mirror rests on an altar of bone. You look. You see not yourself. You see what you built, what you abandoned, what you could still shape. The codex does not glow. It hums, not with magic, with responsibility. You place the mirror on its surface. The final shard appears. It is the heaviest. You carry it anyway. The path does not descend. It opens. And there, rising like a cathedral carved from the sky itself, Aquarius. You step into a sky that no longer obeys gravity. The cathedral is not built. It is imagined. Glass floors ripple beneath your feet. Walls form as you look at them. Nothing here is fixed. Everything responds. A storm brews inside a sphere at the center, cloud and lightning contained in a dance of chaos and code. A figure floats within. Neither man nor woman. Neither young nor old. They turn. They see you. They download you. You feel your memories flicker. Your dreams shatter and rebuild. They speak without moving their lips. Freedom without vision is lightning without direction. You nod, though you barely understand. The codex opens itself. A page writes itself. It is your page, not written with ink, but choices. You must answer. What do you believe cannot change? What truth would you risk madness to see? Who would you become if no one expected anything of you? Each answer becomes a circuit, each thought a filament. The storm within the sphere calms. The figure extends their hand. They offer the codex back. It is heavier, and yet lighter. You understand, rebellion is not chaos, it is reimagining. The shard you receive is clear, but crackles with inner lightning. You place it in the center of the codex. 12 shards, 12 lessons, 12 truths. But there is one chamber left. Pisces. You step forward and everything dissolves. No walls. No corridors, no codex. Only sea, only stars. You are floating yet sinking, falling yet ascending. A paradox made place. There is no door, no guardian, no path. Only music. Not heard but remembered. A lullaby once sung to you by someone who never existed, and yet you grieve them. Your heart pulses, and from it, a light. A fish swims toward it, then another, then 12, they encircle you. Each a fragment of the signs you met, each transformed. They do not test, they witness. And then, you see it, a mirror beneath the ocean, not reflecting your face, reflecting your soul. You see your contradictions, your pain and your poetry, your doubts and your devotion. You see yourself entire. The codex floats to the surface. It opens one last time. A 13th shard forms, not a crystal, not a key, a tear, not of sadness, of truth. You hold it, you feel it, and the labyrinth sighs. It is complete. The chamber dissolves, and you awaken. Not in a temple, not in a castle, in a room. Your room. But everything has changed. You carry the codex, you carry the labyrinth, you carry the stars, and they will speak to you now. If you choose to listen, the wind outside your window speaks differently now, not louder, just clearer. You recognize patterns in clouds, meanings in shadows. Even silence holds sentences. You stand. The codex hums faintly from your satchel. A knock at the door, not physical. An invitation. You step outside. It is still the Middle Ages. The world still doubts. The stars still shine. But you are different. You no longer search for answers. You listen to them. You are the astrologer. You see beyond the veil. Not to predict, to reveal. You meet others like you, at crossroads, in courts, at battlefields, in gardens, monasteries, libraries. They recognize you, not by name, by gaze. You are part of the order now, the silent ones, the mapmakers of meaning, and in time, others will follow. Guided not by fear, but by starlight. The codex remains open. Your hand moves. You begin to write, not for you, for them, because someone, centuries from now, will need your words, will find your chart, will walk your labyrinth, and begin again. The end. Thank you for walking this journey. If you listened, the stars will remember, and if your heart stirred, even for a moment, then the labyrinth lives on through you. Perhaps in a hidden corner of your life, you've always known there was more. More than fate. More than time. More than what we are told to believe. If this tale awakened something ancient within you, let it speak. Let it guide. Let it call you forward. Because the journey does not end with the final word. It begins anew with every soul that chooses to see. So if you found wonder in this story, if the stars whispered truths between the lines, do not let them fade. Subscribe to Astrology Readings. Leave a like if this story resonated. Share it with someone whose soul still dreams in symbols. And tell us in the comments which part of the labyrinth called to you most. We are not alone in this path. We walk it together across centuries, signs, and skies. Until next time, keep your eyes on the heavens and your heart attuned to the invisible. The stars are watching, and they remember you.